Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident. And you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
The train.
And he's played really, really well this year, and you know, he gets bad lies, and he'll have no problem with the wind or anything like that. So I think I'm gonna stick with Spieth, but Brooks is right there.
Hey guys, before you, really quick, we have an update from a golf update. Actually,
really?
It's from our friend Dave Softy Muller. He has apparently just finished his round in Hawaii. He says this place ate me up today, and then spit me out, and then stepped on my throat. So Softy did not have a pleasant day.
Well, you know,
do we know where he was playing?
He was at Wailea still, one of the courses. I think he played Emerald yesterday. I don't know if this was gold that he played today or what, but did he put a number down, or was he too chicken to even put a number down?
I think he's too embarrassed.
Wow, how about that? Well, we kind of called BS on his 92 yesterday anyway, so. Oh, we don't call BS on our next guest, though, our man Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk.
It's time for a weekly conversation with Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio. Brought to you by Simply Seattle. Tired of buying and repping the same old Seattle sports gear everyone else has? For the best Storm, Seahawks, Mariners, Kraken, Rainiers, Sounders, and not to mention the largest Sonics collection in the world, check out simplyseattle.com. Now with Mike Florio, here's Softy and Dick.
Joining us right now, as he always does on a Wednesday, our friend from Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio. Michael, how are you today?
Doing great, Dick. How are you?
Well, we're in the midst of a firestorm here in Seattle when it comes to Richard Sherman. I mean, the arrest was made about 10 miles east of where I sit right now, and just a bizarre situation. And I guess from a football standpoint, take us to where you see the next steps for the NFL. Is there rhyme or reason to NFL suspensions, or is this entirely a case-by-case basis when it comes to whether or not these guys are going to be able to play after they get arrested?
Well, the NFL has created a situation where it can do whatever it wants to do, whenever it wants to do it, however it wants to do it. The challenge for Richard Sherman is that being a free agent, the possibility that he would be put on paid leave by the NFL would cause a team to refrain from signing him until this is all behind him, like with Antonio Brown. After he was cut by the Patriots in September of 2019, and there was the possibility of paid leave given the lawsuit that had been filed against him and other allegations, no one signed him because the league wouldn't say, hey, if you sign this guy, you're going to be paying him to not play for you. And in a season where the salary cap is down a net of $25 million, I don't think anyone's going to touch Richard Sherman until there is a resolution of the case, or pending a resolution of the case, a clear indication from the league that he won't be placed on paid leave. But the league's precedent is to not do that. So I think it means Richard Sherman is unemployable until this is all resolved. And then the question, once it's resolved, is whether or not he is suspended without pay for whatever it is that he ultimately is convicted of, pleads guilty to, enters a diversion program for, pleads no contest to. Anytime there's any responsibility, it's likely that there'll be punishment. But one thing we learned years ago from the NFL, they still reserve the right to punish even if there's never any type of criminal responsibility. We learned that with Ezekiel Elliott just a few years ago. He got suspended 6 games. He was never arrested, charged, or even sued.
What were you hearing as far as the chances of him being a Seahawk in 2021 before this incident?
I frankly think it was slim. I think at one point when we heard talk of the possibility of Richard Sherman returning, that was before the hatchet was buried between Russell Wilson and the organization. I frankly don't think that they're going to bring back Richard Sherman as long as Russell Wilson is there and happy. There are issues with the two of those guys. I think it's one of the reasons Sherman and others were gone. There was a resentment of Russell Wilson from veterans in that locker room, and now it's Russell Wilson's team. So I think it was highly unlikely anyway. I think it was very unlikely with the 49ers. The 49ers won't say anything about it publicly, but they were done with Richard Sherman. They were ready to move on. I think he was just going to have to wait until an opportunity popped up, and he was going to have to take a lot less than he wanted. That was before all this happened, though. It's not happening anywhere, like I said, until this issue is resolved, whenever and however long it takes.
Another former Seahawk in trouble, Frank Clark of the Chiefs. What's the latest on him, and should we expect him to be in uniform week 1?
Well, facing up to 3 years in prison for felony possession of an assault weapon, and the league has the ability, for any player who's charged with a felony, the league has the ability to put that player on paid leave. Again, it is extremely broad. We may do it, we may not do it. They can do it if they want to. And usually you see it when there's an allegation involving some sort of violence, wrongdoing, whatever. But what it comes down to more than anything else, Dick, it's a PR thing for the NFL. Does the league want to have every game that Frank Clark's team, the Chiefs, is involved in, have this PS, this asterisk, this caveat that Frank Clark is facing up to 3 years in prison for felony possession of an Uzi? And that's what causes the NFL to basically take the heat out of the hot kitchen, put the guy on paid leave. And the whole concept of paid leave is flawed because the NFL believes it's not a punishment. Now, look, for 99% of the jobs out there, people would probably like to stay home and get paid to not work.
Right.
But football players want to play football, and it is punishment when they use it. But they could use it with him. Deshaun Watson's got it hovering over him, and now Richard Sherman will have it hover over him if and when he signs a contract.
Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, is weekly conversation with us here on 950 KJR. Russell Wilson, Mike, says we've got everything we want. We've got everything we need. Are we back in your mind to where we were with the relationship prior to any conversations with Dan Patrick, prior to any sitting with Roger Goodell looking frumpy at the Super Bowl? Or does something really special need to happen with this offense and with this football team this year to avoid a repeat of the last offseason?
Russell Wilson's approach is the exact opposite of Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers got to the point where he wanted out, and he hasn't decided to get past that. Russell Wilson decided very pragmatically, I believe, if you can't be on the team you love the team you're on. And that's what he's doing, making the most out of what will be his 10th NFL season, trying to add to his legacy. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then we're going to be right back where we were. He's going to be looking frumpy with the commissioner in a luxury suite at Super Bowl 56, watching maybe the Rams, maybe the 49ers play against the Chiefs again, potentially, and it's all going to start up again. And this is going to continue next year and the year after. And the year after, if he does stay for the next 2 years, the year after, that off-season 2023, that's when it's time for him to get a new contract. And I'm sure I've said this on the show before. I was told when he signed his most recent contract, he's not signing another one. That's it. It's not going to work because he's going to want too much. And the Seahawks aren't going to want to pay what he's going to want, and that's when it's going to end. So I think he's got 2 more years max with the Seahawks, and I know that's not a popular opinion, but I think it's something people need to get their arms around. And it may just be 1 more year depending upon what happens this season. But he's all in for this season. He's set it all aside. He's compartmentalizing it, and he's ready to go.
You mentioned on the air, I don't know if you were being interviewed or if it was your show, but I saw a tweet that you mentioned that you think Mark Murphy of the Packers doesn't want Aaron Rodgers to show up in training camp. Explain that.
Well, I think Murphy, who really is, I believe, the guy that Aaron Rodgers is truly upset with. He can blame it on Brian Gutekunst, the guy who drafted Jordan Love, but Gutekunst didn't do it without Mark Murphy approving of it. And I think Mark Murphy's got a little bit of a mad scientist streak where he tries to push buttons and pull strings on Rodgers to get the reaction that he wants, and it worked last year. They draft Jordan Love, and what happens? Aaron Rodgers has an MVP season. They get within a game of the Super Bowl. I think now, instead of whatever this game is that Aaron Rodgers is playing, and he seems to be enjoying it. For example, he knows whether or not he's going to be at camp, and I think he is going to be there. Mm-hmm. But he's not going to say it until he shows up, because the day before he shows up, Mark Murphy has to deal with a crowd of hostile shareholders at Lambeau Field. So why would Murphy get a favor done for him by Aaron Rodgers? So that's just part of the game that's being played. And I think if Rodgers doesn't show, then he's the villain, and Murphy isn't. Because the fans line up behind the laundry, especially in Green Bay where the fans own the laundry, and you're under contract for 3 more years. That's the position that fans will retreat to. You're under contract for 3 more years. Honor your contract if he doesn't show up. And then if he doesn't show up and sits out the whole year, the Packers net more than $30 million. They're still going to trade him after the season, I believe, and they'll probably get more if they trade him in March than if they trade him now, because there'll be more teams at the table. And I just think that if you attached Murphy to a lie detector or gave him sodium pentothal, he would have to say, I'd rather that guy not show up.
We had the Washington State governor on earlier today, and we were talking about the reopening of stadiums, when we could get the indoor stadiums open at 100%. Our outdoor stadiums are open to 100%, so we should be full of Seahawk fans in September. But he talked again, pushed the vaccinations hard on the radio show, as you have on Twitter as well. What are the trends showing as far as training camp? Are we going to have a controversy-free training camp when it comes to vaccinations? Or are most teams just going to get up there to that 90-95% range because the penalties are so severe if they don't?
Here's the thing to keep in mind. 85% is the magic number, and 9 teams are at 85% now. And if you're at 85% with 90 guys on the roster, you're doing damn well.
Yeah.
Because I look at it this way. What ultimately matters is being at 85% of the 53 guys you keep. And you can bet that for the guys who are at the bottom of the roster, interchangeable parts, they're going to keep the guys who are vaccinated. They're not allowed to say it. They're not allowed to technically be motivated by it. But why wouldn't you keep the guys that are vaccinated if it gets you past the 85% threshold and you can be normal? And for the guys who are vaccinated, they get tested for COVID once every 2 weeks. You don't have to worry about the surprise Saturday or Sunday, oh, crap, we're going to have these guys not available. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be known in advance, and they'll be able to replace guys if they should test positive during that 2-week window. Because I guarantee you they're not going to get their once every 2-week test on a Saturday or a Sunday. It's going to be in the middle of the week so the team can react accordingly if something happens. But hey, look, it shouldn't be controversial. It shouldn't be political. Look at the fact that the numbers are going up. There are hot spots in the country again.
Yeah.
And it's the serious illness, vast majority of it, is among the people who haven't been vaccinated. And I don't get it. I don't understand it. People get mad about it. I mean, we've been vaccinated for all sorts of stuff. This is like the general anti-vaxxer's dream come true, where they can just kind of take this and raise all of these crazy theories. And now I saw in Tennessee there's a push to get rid of all childhood vaccinations because of this political pressure against it. I was telling somebody earlier today, we've been living in the twilight zone for 15 months, and I'm just waiting for the scene where they say it's a cookbook.
Always a pleasure. Hey, you were tweeting and drinking last night. Did your wife did she confiscate your phone last night?
No, I was not tweeting and drinking.
That's what you said.
I was drinking and tweeting.
Oh, sorry. I got the order wrong. Did she confiscate your phone eventually?
No, I behaved.
Oh, good for you.
Fun.
I was a little surprised. I thought for sure she was going to yank it from your hands.
No, I know where the line is. We're just having fun. We're on vacation, so it's a good time.
You're smarter than I am. Nice work. Sometimes I don't know where the line is. Thanks, Mike. We always appreciate it.
See you, pal.
Good stuff from Mike Florio, as always. All right, we come back. We got Spencer Hawes in. We haven't once talked about the NBA Finals. Time to get his take on, is this series really back at 2-1? And which is the team that's in trouble? The team that was down 2-0? Or the team now that doesn't have any momentum? We'll talk about that next on 950 KJ.
He raids your fridge.
You're out of Barada.
Borrows your car without asking.
Scratches? What scratches?
He's your brother-in-law.
I'll pay you back.
He takes what's yours, and there's nothing you can do. But when identity thieves want to take what's yours, you can do something. LifeLock by Norton monitors your info and alerts you to potential threats. If you become a victim, they can help fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but you can save up to 25% off your first year at LifeLock.com using promo code LifeLock.